Awesome. Well, firstly, thank you so much, LeBlond and Women Tech Inspire for having me today, and LeBlond and Brian and goodness, Bandine. Really such inspirational speeches,
B,
guys.
just call me
What?
B.
Sorry, B. Cool. Well, guys, you were really such an inspiration. So thank you guys so much. Yeah, so my name is Tamryn Yap. I've completed my undergraduate and postgraduate in entrepreneurship and business management at the University of Pretoria. And now I'm currently a risk consultant, and I've been one for the past 3 months. So 3 months doesn't sound like a lot to be speaking like an absolute expert in risk, which, as a disclaimer for the speech, I certainly don't pretend to be one. But I do know that with the experiences and family that have shaped me, and additionally as a woman, I'm definitely familiar with the concept of risk. So let's talk about the first one, my family. I have 2 siblings, one older brother and a twin sister. And from day one, my twin and I have been 2 peas in a pod. I mean, I suppose literally we were, but so much so that we did everything together. And we enjoyed it that way. She looked out for me and I looked out for her. And from a risk perspective, we were never truly alone, which meant that our parents never had to worry about us much because we always had each other. And so it was safe. And in addition to this, we also have a mom who instilled a sense of safety in everything we do. Perhaps even on really slightly paranoid levels. So for example, I actually, over this past week, I hiked to a waterfall and swam in its pools, and literally the list of but what ifs that flowed from her mouth when I told her about it afterwards are still going on. Like, what if there were snakes in there? But what if there were iguanas and they bite and they're really bad? And what if the water had bacteria? And what if someone attacked you on the hike? And all of these what ifs. And I very gratefully realized that if I'd told her what I'd been doing before I did it, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed the water and the waterfall as much. And so in this way, I suppose I could say I've had a very risk-conscious upbringing. And simply being a woman, you have to be. So here's a very basic example of how we think. So let's say I were going on a holiday. I was going on a holiday for 3 days. This would be the suitcase of a man, and this would be a woman's suitcase. Now, ladies, I'm not sure if you agree with me, but I try to pack for every possible event. So what if the weather is bad? What if it rains? What if I need a raincoat? Oh, what if I meet the queen? What if there's an event and I need to be like so prepared for everything? And this is really but a glimpse of how I think and of how I prepare for uncertainty, for just in case. And now I've reached this point in life where I'm diverging away from my sister and we're leading our own paths and becoming independent people. And with this, I don't have my usual risk partner with me. I now have to find the bearings on my own of what I like and what I dislike, and of a life that I really want to lead. So, risk fit into all of this. If a risk is the effect of uncertainty on objectives, and my objective on this earth is to live my best life and travel and explore and make a difference, then what is the biggest risk obstructing me from achieving my objective? How do I prepare for or lessen the negative effects of uncertainty on my goals? In other words, how do I mitigate this risk? Now, before I begin, I'd like to show you an example. Let's say this is your ship, your vessel, the way you navigate the seas of life. And this is your objective. The X marks the spot, whatever your treasure may be. And this is the path or journey to get there, your life and your moments in life. And along this way, certain risks present themselves. This could be pirates or bad weather, choppy seas, boat problems, mutiny, lost navigation, all of these things, right? And now I want to separate these risks. So these are your external risks, the ones that come from the external environment that could affect you. And these are the internal risks that come from within your ship and within yourself. And these are the ones I'll be focusing on. Why? Because the ship orientates itself, and its preparedness for these external risks is what gets you to your objective. So at the end of the day, it depends on you, the captain, that has the final say on whether you choose to continue your course. It depends on how you navigate even in bad weather. It depends on how well equipped the vessel is with weapons or peace advocates to deal with pirates, and how smoothly the internal components run together to prevent a mutiny. How well the ship is built to withstand bad conditions and its tools to quickly fix it. So at the end of the day, if your internal risks are not mitigated and prepared for, then you might sink at the first hits of a cannon. How can you manage the risks at sea if your ship isn't seaworthy? And so, in my 22 years of life at sea, I believe I've managed to keep my ship steady and attain some of my treasured objectives along the way. In addition to being so grateful for God as my guidance and support, there have been some risk mitigating strategies that I try to keep to achieve success. So I'd like to discuss a bit of my process on how I deal with these internal risks. And this is pretty much that. Firstly, the first step is to identify internal risks affecting the objective. What are the risks that you're exposed to that could affect you and your ability to reach your objective? To help me identify these risks, I looked at some of the possible sources of risk in my life, right? So as mentioned earlier, my background, how my family shaped my view on risk, and literally, how they shaped my perception and view, and my experiences. So how I've interpreted and dealt with these experiences, and also how I perceive them. So if I fail, for example, will I interpret that as an opportunity to try again or to give up? So it also depends on my attitude and my behavior, and most of all myself, because at the end of the day, I'm my own biggest risk to preventing the achievement of my goals. How I perceive things, how I apply myself, the level of commitment and willpower I dedicate to my objective, where my mind is at, where it's going, and my standard process to get there. That all depends on me. So the risks affecting my objectives, per se, could range from the risk of failing, of getting turned down for that dream job or for that business pitch, lack of willpower, lack of focus, lack of self-discipline and control, even maybe depression. So there's all these risks that present themselves. And the next step, would be to analyze these risks. So this would be determining the scope of the risk and how it links with other factors of the objective. So what is the severity of the risk? And what other aspects of your life does it affect? So, for example, my perception of myself, for instance, has a web of connections with my achievements. A negative perception could have prevented me from reaching out to people or applying for positions because I didn't think I was worthy enough. And thirdly, evaluate or rank the risks. So your risks have to be ranked and prioritized so that you can allocate your time and your effort and your resources to these risks to better mitigate them. So a risk that has less severity or causes little inconvenience would be ranked lowly, for instance. And risks that can result in a catastrophic loss or cause an entire derailment of the plan are rated the highest. And these highly rated risks need to be prioritized and attended to. To treat, this is the way the risk is either eliminated or contained as much as possible. And this could also involve connecting with experts in the field. And so these are some of the risk mitigating strategies that I use. Oh, no. So firstly is being consistent. Definition of consistency. So this is referred to as an adherence to the same principles in a steadfast. Oh goodness. Hi everyone. I seem to have disconnected. Can you guys hear me? Let me just reconnect.
We can hear you, but we can no longer see your
Hello?
screen.
Okay, I'm back. Let me know when you can see it. Sorry, I just disconnected.
We can see it now.
There you go. Can you see? Okay, cool. Awesome. So being consistent, right? So adherence to the same principles in a steadfast way. Okay, now consistency builds trust and reliability. And actually building onto the point that Brian had made as in being that women have almost this point to prove when they walk in the room. And this is where I find consistency helps so much because it builds your credibility, it builds your trust, reliability that people have on you. So if you continually show up and train and practice and do your work well, you'll start to get good at what you do. And from there, you'll start to develop a standard for yourself and a standard for your work. And calendar or your qualifications, as your work will begin to produce a reputation and a standard that will introduce you before you do. So in this way, you build the confidence and reputation that mitigates the risk of you not feeling good enough or not feeling worthy or not being heard. So yeah, this is, I find, is one of the strongest or most important standard operating procedures that I follow. Secondly, just do it. So go out there, volunteer, participate, do as much as you can, because at the end of the day, this is how you build your experiences, and that's what builds your repertoire of knowledge and tools to deal with the situations in life. And I remember there was a day in grade 2 that I wish I didn't let, that I recall being something that stopped me from doing certain things. And okay, so at my primary school, there was this thing that we had to do when we had achieved something. And we'd have to present our award on stage. And I used to stutter a lot as a kid. And the protocol when we'd get up on stage would be you introduce yourself and you say what you got and what it was, etc. So anyways, I got up on stage and I couldn't get past the word good. So as in good morning. And I stood there repeating the sound of the word g. I just sat there going like g, and I couldn't get past that word. And everyone laughed. And from that day, I literally, throughout my entire primary school career, I didn't get up on stage ever again, like until a day in grade 7. I realized that it wasn't that bad. And I'd managed to just, in that one split second, just tell myself, just go up, it's just go, just a little split second of bravery and courage. And I got up there and I realized it really wasn't that bad. And from then on, I tried to challenge myself to say more speeches and participate in everything that I could. And from there, I learned that the stuff wasn't that bad. And that's how I learned what I was bad on and where to improve on. And so in high school and university, I joined societies and clubs and tried to network with as many people. And so I really advocate for feeling the fear and just doing it anyway. So, like, do it and build those experiences and arm yourself with this knowledge and tools to navigate through your life. Getting to know yourself. Spend some time reflecting on yourself and who you are. Reflection, especially reflect on why and how you came to be the person you are today. Find out what you like and what you dislike and reflect on the pattern of how you react to certain things. Because if you know yourself and your insecurities and your strengths and weaknesses really well, then no one will be able to put you down. You'll be able to confidently define your standard operating procedures, your SOPs, and you'll be more familiar with how you deal with things or how you want to deal with things. And you'll be mitigating the risk of failure, the lack of self-confidence, and lack of self-control. And in this way, you won't let external people control and sink your ship. Please, I don't know, well, ladies, if you have not done so yet, create your own SOP, your standard operating procedure for your life, and have fun with it. Set objectives and steps to achieve them. And if it means you may have to work an 18-hour day, like LeBlanc says, then do it to achieve your goals. And lastly, monitor and review the risk. So not all risks can be eliminated, and some risks are always there and they're always present. So in this way, it is important to monitor these risks, to track your progress on how far you have come and on how much you have changed, and maybe reevaluate your situation. And it's important to always just check in with yourself, see where you're at, what your mindset's at, and maybe it might be a time to pivot. So I'm here, the age of 22, as a risk consultant, realizing how much I don't know as I go, and realized how much my upbringing and experiences contribute to how risk affects me. Every single one of us is facing risks, different risks at different levels every day. But it's how we let them affect us it's how we let them affect us that affects how we live the rest of our lives that matters. And so I leave you with a final thought. Are we going to live in fear for the fact that iguanas might bite us at the bottom of the waterfall? Or are we going to continue chasing waterfalls and facing our fears? Thank you. Thank you, guys. I don't know if I can see you now again, but let me know if you have any questions, and now I'm struggling to get back to the screen. Thank you so much.
Wow, Tamryn, this was brilliant. This was really nice presentation. I'm just inspired with everything, and it was nice. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you for everything. It was nice, and I hope that everyone who is in this summit today, I guess they've learned something new and they are ready to take risk and to know where they want to go and what they want to build in life, and just to draw up a plan that will allow them to reach their goals and achieve their dreams. Thank you so much. If anyone who has any question for Tamryn, you can please come up for a word, unmute yourself and ask her if anyone who has a question.
Hey Tamryn, I don't necessarily have a question, but I just wanted to say I consider myself quite a risk-seeking person, and that means that sometimes I don't evaluate risk at face value like I should, which can often lead to more of a problem than a good outcome. But yeah, it was nice to hear, or nice to see how you go through a process, and how to better evaluate what you define to be a risk.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. Thanks for your feedback. Yeah, I mean, we really do look at risks in completely different ways. I think just finding the way you handle it and almost being able to navigate through it the best way will also almost show you, okay, cool, I'm aware of what these risks are, but also how are you going to be able to control them so that you don't let this fear, rule your life the whole time. So yeah, but thank you so much. Yes, Rob. I see a hand is put up there, but I don't know if
Hi.
that's... Oh.
Sorry, I suppose I'm a bit of a spectator on this one. I've missed many of the earlier ones, but I suppose as the previous bloke mentioned, and this might be a somewhat male thing, I myself am very prone to sort of taking unnecessary and needless risks, but what really made sense or got to me quite well was sort of how you differentiated between internal and external risks. I suppose as a risk taker, I'd always sort of measured risks in an external level, but sort of understanding that we have to sort of see and understand our own sort of tendencies within ourselves and how those affect our future outcomes is really interesting and gives me a lot to think about.
That's great. I'm really glad at least for it to get the ball rolling on a lot of those things. So thank you for your feedback, Rob. Nokwetemba, I see your hand is up.
Hi. I just want to say for a 22-year-old that's
how are you?
Really
yeah,
I'm good. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I'm saying for a 22-year-old, that's really mature of you. And I just want to say it's been really a great opportunity to just listen to you as an adult. Well, I've learned so much in this session and from your presentation. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Nokwetemba. I must say, I really don't feel like I'm an adult much, but thank you. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Fatima, I see your hand is up.
Yes, hello, Tamryn. I didn't get what you studied in university. I'm having network problems, so it's like kicking me out.
Oh, okay. No, so I completed my undergraduate at the University of Pretoria. I did that in entrepreneurship, and then I completed my honors postgraduate in business management. So I've completed that. So now I'm currently a risk and resilience consultant at Protein Business Solutions. So
okay,
yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Cool. Pleasure. Nokwetemba, I see your hand is still up. I don't know if that's or how do we lower hands? I don't know if it's still okay. Cool.
Sorry,
Does anyone else have any other questions? Kimberly?